So you have anything to say for yourself about breaking my balls for the past fucking 8 weeks?
Well, I mean, can you blame me?
Yeah, of course I can. I did it
on
on purpose,
Listen,
man.
I
need you to wait.
I understand and Anthony, no offense, but like, come on.
So actually, it's one of the reasons why I want to have you on here right now is because we just announced you're the new general manager of our brand new restaurant. So congratulations.
Thank you.
So you've taken the reins of Grana for probably the past year, right? It's been yours.
Yeah. In 2020 October, I switched over.
Yeah, so you did it for a year. Good. Now I pulled you out of there. Now you gotta go worry about Bastone. Again, a lot of people see you in the restaurant. You know, I make fun of the way you talk to people at tables because it's great because you're always so loving at tables. But I'm positive nobody knows who you are, and I'm positive just as much as nobody knows who I am. So why don't you start from the beginning, where you were born, all that stuff, because I'm definitely going to pick on you the whole way coming down, especially your college years, and then we'll go from there. All right, go ahead.
All right. So I grew up in Stamford, Connecticut, which is in the southwest corner, so about 40 minutes outside of Manhattan. Smaller but bigger-ish city.
Bigger now.
Yeah, bigger now. It's probably
yeah, we were just back there a couple weeks ago, and that was, I mean, it's definitely getting bigger. I still feel like there's fucking nobody there though.
Well, if you drive down like Tresser and
Washington
Boulevard, it doesn't
you can't even
look like the
recognize
same
it.
place.
Yeah. Can't even recognize it.
But I spent about till I was 19. I stayed there. I did UConn for my first 2 years of school, and then I kind of just felt it was, you know, it was the appropriate time to get out, try something different, go to a new city. So John, my brother, was down here for a year before I ended up moving down here, and I came to visit. Saw Georgia State. And at that time, I was doing mathematics for actuarial science. Makes sense.
So I make fun of Ryan about this all the time because I've always said to him that his college degree is a fucking waste. And he gets so mad. And one time we actually had it out at White Bull, remember? And then we came to find out later that we were kind of being a little loud. And then somebody wrote a review saying that the boss mean to my staff. And I was like, oh shit. And it was like, you saying that his college degree meant nothing. I was like, oh my God, here we go.
I mean, looking back now, I mean, if I knew that I was going to be in restaurants in this capacity,
I kind of knew you were going to be there though.
What do you mean?
I kind of just always knew you were going to be in the restaurant business. Ever since Barsugo in Connecticut, I was like, this dude's going to get stuck. I could just feel it. This dude's having too much fun. He can see what the lifestyle is going to be. He's having a good, like, same thing with Chef Pat from White Bull.
Yeah.
Like, when that dude came in, I knew him, man. He was hooked. There was no way of getting that dude out.
It's fun. I mean, there's something weirdly addicting about it, and it's just like, you know, that's why I think a lot of people end up leaving the industry and then coming back into it because there's something that they really miss about it.
I call it controlled chaos.
Yeah.
99% of the time. 1% of the time, though, it's fucking chaos. Straight up, there is nothing controlled about it.
And that 1% feels like forever.
Yeah, dude, like it never goes away. So I didn't even know until I trying to put, like we were talking earlier, like I try to always figure out things that you can, like, I have similarities with people, but I moved out when I was 19%.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I did. So I moved out at 19, and I moved to New York City, and that shit was crazy. Like that was 4 years of some of the best time of my life. That was fucking amazing.
Yeah, I remember being really nervous about doing it, and now when I look back, I'm like, what was there to be nervous about?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're always nervous when you leave the nest for the first time, right? I mean, it's a big thing, right? Like you're leaving, you know, you're fucking scared as shit, but you're really fucking excited too because, like, I mean, just think about all the cool shit you can do. You don't have to like call in and be like, hey mom, I'm home. You know what I mean? So that to me was probably like one of the best things for sure. But I always made a point. I mean, for you it was more difficult because it's not like you're flying up for a weekend.
No.
But like, you know, for me, I was 40 minutes outside of Connecticut, so like I would try my best to, you know, once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month, just get home and just, you know, I mean, it was, you know, I mean, you're 19, right? So like you're 19 and you think you know everything, right? Because that's just how people are. You think you know everything, but then you quickly, the minute you move out, realize you don't know shit, and you actually need some help.
It's very humbling.
But that's one thing that I completely respect about you, and I've told you that a couple times, is that you've been out since 19, and you never went back.
Yeah.
So how hard was that? Like how was moving out and like literally like paying rent, doing all, like how was all that?
I mean, it was good. Like being youngest of four, I think I have this like unspoken pride and slight goal when it comes to my siblings.
Of course,
To beat everybody out.
You have to shit on them. You have to figure out a way to fucking destroy them. Of course.
Yeah. So
See, I'm the middle child, so I have the same exact conflict. It's just mine's just a little bit bigger because I was like I have to stand out the most.
But I don't know. It like I got a job right when I moved down here. It wasn't anything crazy. It was just kind of helping me pay for school, and that was in a restaurant. And I think that's kind of what helped me feel more comfortable, is because the restaurant industry, even though you're away from your family, and it sounds so corny because everybody says it, but like, it is a second family that you have.
Absolutely.
So it helps you feel more comfortable, you know, when you're in a new city and when you're doing something a little bit different. You know, I have like awful anxiety, so of course there were some worries along the way. But you know, you get smart fast when you're by yourself, I think. So like managing your money, you know, budgeting, things like that, kind of making sure like your needs versus wants list makes a whole lot more sense. So it wasn't like a rough, bumpy transition. There were definitely humbling moments, but I'm happy for all those humbling moments because I think it kind of helps me get well-rounded in a good spot.
So like I've told you this multiple times, but you're to me you're an old soul, and to me you're well beyond your years, right? So what do you think helped that? Do you think it was just being 19 and being out of the house and not having anybody really to rely on, or was it a combination of that and getting thrown into the restaurant industry? Because the restaurant industry fucking makes you grow up quick as shit, right? Because I mean, you know, when I was working in New York City, like this was my life, right? So I would have Mondays and Thursdays off, right? So Monday, I would sleep all day. Tuesday, and listen, I swear on my grandmothers that are passed, like I've never done like drugs, right? So this is just on adrenaline. So I would go to work at 6 o'clock in the morning. I would get out at 2. I would drink till 5, and then go back to work and do that for 3 days in a row, and literally get like 4 hours of sleep, and then sleep all day on Thursday again, and then do it all over again. So like, how was that for you? Like, did you have any of the same stuff? Like, what did you do to like really, you know?
I definitely had some late nights like that, where you know you look at the clock, all of a sudden.
Why the fuck did I just do that?
Yeah, of course. You know, wake up feeling like dog shit when you go to the restaurant the next day and trying to force your way through. You know, you're nauseous. That table's gonna take your order.
That's great. So how'd you go from, because you were at Barcelona.
Yes.
So how'd you go from, or how did you know you wanted to manage? Because that happened pretty fast for you.
It did. So I started there in February, and by December I had a conversation with Adam Halberg. He came down.
Now, was I here already?
You were here already.
Okay.
White Bowl opened in March.
Okay.
And then towards the end of that year, he came down to Atlanta. We sat on the back patio, and he was like, well, you've been doing this for a little while. I hear some good things. How about manage? And I was like, well, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really made me kind of understand, like, okay, now I can turn this into a career, something I really like doing, something that I think I'm pretty proficient at.
But you were still going to school.
I was.
So how was that? Like, what was going through your head seeing like, shit, I could do this for a living? But I just went through 4 years of school to be a mathematician.
So, actually, when I moved down here, my first semester down here, I was like, damn, you know, I really don't want to sit in front of a desk. I love talking to people. And I'm like, you know, I'll probably talk about it more later, but it wasn't even so much restaurants right away. It was just about, you know, being in front of people and kind of helping people along the way. So education is kind of where I decided to leave myself. Super history nerd. So that is kind of where I transitioned. I did history and political science to finish up my
I'll call you for all my history questions.
Always. And then I think you know, when I had that conversation with him, you know, it was like a weird 2 days where I had to really think about how to redefine what I'd like to do with regards to restaurants. So, you know, restaurants, you are teaching every day. You know, you're teaching about wine, you're teaching about service, how to take care of people. You know, hospitality is not something that's innate in everybody, so you do have to teach it. So redefining that role is what made me extra excited about being in restaurants.
When you moved from Connecticut to here, what do you think was the hardest transition? Do you think it was, so like I'll tell you right off the bat, for me, it's getting responses from people, right? So like when I send an, you know how I am, dude, when I send an email, like I need fucking direct, instant gratification, and I need to know now. I feel like, you know, perfect example is like what we're going through with Bastone, right? Like, you know, it takes 90 days to get a fucking permit, right? Like to me, that's ridiculous, right? So for 90 days, we could have been paying $25,000 to $40,000 a month in sales tax. They could have hired an extra fucking person to just look at my paper, right? So I look at it and that's just one restaurant. There's 50 restaurants opening. I feel like a fucking week in the city. So do you feel like feel like there was the same thing. Like, how was it going to school? And like, you know, were you getting done faster than everybody else? Like, how did that all work? Because like for me, like coming from New York City and Connecticut, moving down here, I felt like fucking like dragged for a little while until I kind of just realized what their speed was, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm not gonna work at that speed anyway. I'm gonna work faster anyway. You know what I mean? Like I was telling somebody the other day, it's like very cliche, but they're like, why are you up at 5? I was like, 'cause I want to be up before fucking every other restaurateur in this fucking city.
Yeah.
I have to be. You know, and I'm gonna go to sleep after every single one of them. I don't give a shit if I get an hour of sleep. It doesn't matter to me. I'm gonna be up before them all and go to bed after all of them and just fucking be ahead. So
that is how you get it.
You have to. But like, so what was your biggest culture shock, as you would say?
I mean, when I first moved down here, I'll never forget, John picked me up from the airport. It was like 11:30, and he was like, "You ever been to Waffle House before?" So, it was my first Waffle House.
I think we only have one in Connecticut, it was in Milford.
Yeah. So we went to Waffle House, and we were being taken care of. It was some of the nicest people that I've ever been surrounded by. And I looked at John, and I was like, "Is she being fucking sarcastic? Is she being nasty right now?" And he was like, "No, that's just how we
You're
are."
always on your toes in Connecticut, right?
Yeah.
You don't know when somebody's trying to shit on you.
Some sass back
Yeah,
or something
exactly.
like that. So no, the culture shock down here was, it is a change of pace. It sounds like, you know, people always joke about that, oh, the South is slow. And it's not even just like slow physically or anything like that. It's kind of just everyone takes their time with stuff. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No.
When you want to get something done.
We're gonna try to open a restaurant. Hurry the fuck up.
Yeah.
So you go from you get the call up basically, right? So Adam Halbert calls you in, and he's gonna be on the podcast hopefully soon. He wants to be in Atlanta when we do it. He said so. So he gives you the call. So how long from that point till you graduated college?
I was graduating that following January.
Nice.
So
You came out. You know you're going into the restaurant business now. Did you ever, at any point while you're in the restaurant business, have thought about going back or to teach or anything like that?
always. I think like so many things happen in the restaurant where it kind of like it forces you to face that question of, you know, is this right for me? But then there are so many moments where it's just like it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So I mean, like now that I'm doing it for as long as I have, like those thoughts kind of disappear.
Of going backward.
Yeah.
Because would it be going backward?
I wouldn't look at it as going backwards. It's just going down a different avenue.
Yeah.
But
You're getting the gratification that you want out of teaching,
Yeah.
right? Because that's like every day, like we talked about, it's teaching. Sometimes it's, you know, I say it all the time, like, you know, jokingly, but it's serious. Like if I knew what an entrepreneur and an executive chef's job role was going to be, I don't think I would have went to culinary school. I would have went to school to be a kindergarten teacher. Because 99% of the time, that's what it feels like. Did you show up on time today? Are you okay today? Like, you know, we say it all the time, like, you know, you as the general manager of restaurants, you know, you're not just the general manager, you're everybody's psychiatrist, right? You're the accountant because, you know, I'm like, where are we on this? Where are we on that? And then now on my role, now I'm your psychiatrist and I'm everybody else's accountant, you know what I mean? And it's crazy, like there's a lot that gets tacked on to your job description that you don't really even know is your job description. Like when you come off the first time and you're a server, you're like, this is great, yeah, let's make some money, let's sell a $1,000 bottle of wine. Then all of a sudden you get tapped into management and you're like, this fucking sucks. I gotta deal with everybody else's problems. And to be honest with you, entry-level manager, you're making less than most servers.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And you gotta deal with all of their crap, plus the guests coming in and complaining about something, right? So what do you think is the hardest thing as being a manager? Do you think it's the guests? And it's okay, you can be honest on here. Is it the guests, or is it the staff, or is it a combination of both?
It's a combination of both. I mean, the guest is like, your job is taking care of the guest. So, you know, there's a million different things that somebody can ask for that makes you want to pull your hair out. You know, at the end of the day, that's your job. That's what you chose to do, so you have to do it. Staff and, you know, just...
Well, especially now because it's impossible to find staff.
It is impossible to, not only just to find staff, but to find qualified staff.
Yeah.
You know, hiring now is just, all you're hiring is green industry people.
Yeah.
That haven't done it before.
Which sometimes is better.
Yes and no though, because like you can teach somebody how to talk about food, you can teach somebody how to sell wine. It's very, very hard to teach somebody culture and having this desire to take care of people.
Yeah.
That's what made me enjoy serving so much, was not what I was selling, it was how I was selling it and seeing the reaction of people when they were having it.
Yeah. So when when we're hiring in the back of the house, right? Like I talk to Chef Elliott and Chef Pat about it all the time. Is I'm not necessarily looking for the best technical cook by any means. I look for more like, you know, are they going to be in this industry for a long time? Can I really dedicate and put time and effort into these people, or are they going to be a 6-monther? Are they going to be a 3-monther? Because to me, I say it all the time where, you know, I'd rather take somebody with heart than somebody with talent, because I can teach them the talent. I can't teach them how to have heart, right? And that's, I think, kind of the same thing in the front of the house, right? Because front of the house, to me, there's always the battle front of house, back of house, right? Back of house they always work harder. They always say they work harder. They can't believe that they don't make as much money as the front of house people, and then so on and so forth, because they look at it as like the back of house people go out and party all the time, and so on and so forth. So it is what it is, but there's reasons why I don't manage. There's reasons why I don't fucking take tables. Like, I would snap at a table. Like, I mean, like, perfect example was a couple months ago. You know, we had a guest walk in, and they were really adamant about having fettuccine Alfredo, right? And the fucking thing just showed up on my fucking Taurus. Stupid shit today.
How ironic is that?
Blew my fucking mind. But so we don't make fettuccine Alfredo. Like, you know, like I said in my post, like, the only Alfredo I know is Mom. I don't know no fucking fettuccine Alfredo. So, you know, that dish doesn't exist in my book. But I'll make you fettuccine with butter, right? So now fettuccine's not even on the menu. So I go back there, I make fresh pasta, right? 20 minutes, right? Then I roll the fucking fresh pasta. Then I cut the fresh pasta. Then I let it dry for like 4 minutes. And then I make her the best fettuccine with butter you'll ever have in your life. I bring it to the table, and she fucking chewed me away.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I remember that. You even hand delivered.
Yeah, and I hand delivered. Now the thing is this, right? Like, you know, every chef has a fucking ego to begin with, right? But then you add on top of it that I just did all that for you, right? And then you shooed me away. Everything in my soul wanted to take that dish off the fucking table and eat it in front of her, and then give her an empty plate. All of everything in my soul wanted me to do that. But you have to fucking, you have to humble yourself and be like, you know what, not every single person's gonna, understand what you're doing. And then on top of it, she only had one bite and left the $0 tip. So I felt bad, so I gave the tip to Quinn, because it was her table. And so I felt bad, so I gave it. So not only did it cost me an hour of my life, but it also cost me $40.
Yeah.
So I was even more upset about it. But it's like, for me, it's the guests sometimes obviously drive you to a certain spot that you don't want to go to, right? To a certain anger level that you don't want to go to, and obviously you're gonna try your best to never get there. But the staff also do that to you. You know what I mean? Like the number one thing that was my culture shock when I moved here, other than just people being having to slow down a little bit, was the staff calling out. Like, that never happened in Connecticut. Like, in Connecticut, there was no such thing as staff calling out. Staff never called out. I think in 5 years that we had Barsugo, I think we had 2 call outs.
Yeah.
Ever.
There could be a foot of snow on the ground.
Yeah, and
they're shoveling their way to work.
and that was really hard for me, because when we staff the restaurant, we actually have to overstaff every night, because you kind of are anticipating a call out.
Which I've never had to do.
I've never had to do that either, and that's sad. And I feel like I don't know if that's ever going to change. Probably not. But I just feel like it's one of those things that needs to, or this industry may not make it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm really afraid of. I get afraid of it all the time. It's like, did I get into this industry too late? Like, not too late, but like, because I couldn't have gotten into it any earlier. I was fucking 13. Did I get into this? Was I born too late? You know what I mean? Should I have been born in the 50s and really enjoyed all this stuff? Because I feel like this industry is going to a part where it's going to be very difficult to come out of it if it doesn't happen sooner than later. Because I think eventually, which is sad, you're going to end up with a lot of Domino's and a lot of those restaurants that can probably figure out a way to do it with machinery and not have to worry about staff. And that's the part that's sad to me is this industry going down a hole where we may not be able to ever come out of it? How do you feel about that?
I mean, I think out of everything that happened in 2020 going into 2021, the thing that hurt me the most as somebody that works in restaurants was QR code menus and ordering on your phone.
I know, and the thing is it's crossed my mind, right? Like, there's concept we're working on where the QR code way may make the most sense, right? Because you really you eliminate server position, you have line cooks, and then you have an essay that's bringing the food to your table, and you have a bartender, and there is no such thing as a server. They order whatever they want on their phone, and you eliminate, but you're eliminating that part of the experience that we thrive on every single day, right? Like, perfect example were those people that came in yesterday, asked for mushrooms, server said we don't have mushrooms, I made Blake go to the fucking store and buy mushrooms and make mushrooms, right? But you're not gonna get that on a QR code.
Absolutely.
You know, so that's the part that scares the shit out of me too, is if you have more and more of that. But I also feel like guests that are coming into the restaurants sometimes may prefer that, right?
The instant gratification.
Yeah, and they prefer just getting the food and that's it, and not really having to talk. There's days where I go to restaurants where I'm like, I don't want to fucking talk to anybody. Bring my fucking food, shut the fuck up, let's go.
Yeah.
But then there's days where it's like, all right, this guy seems pretty cool, you know, let's see if I can get him to laugh. You know what I mean? Or something like that.
Exactly.
You know? And sometimes you just want to be waited on fucking hand and foot. Like, we do it every single day. So it seems like sometimes we should definitely get in return. How, like, are you as afraid of it as I am? Because for me, it goes through my mind every day.
Well, yeah, because I think about like when the first time you went to Aziza,
Yep.
you told me you had that Lebanese Pinot Noir.
Yep.
And like that, I think is the beauty behind like getting waited on.
Yep.
Is who would have ever thought to order something like that?
Nobody.
Nobody. And you just got a whole door was kicked open in one moment from just someone taking care of you and being passionate about what they have and kind of really wanting you to have that full experience. You miss out on that whole experience. And I feel like if it continues to be that way, majority of people are just going to get numb to that service experience.
Agreed.
And then they're not going to know any better, not going to know the difference.
Well, you take a restaurant, like, I mean, White Bull alone, menu's complicated, you know, the wine list is complicated. Come to Grana, wine list is complicated. Not really, but it's complicated for certain people that come in here. The menu to them is like fucking gibberish because half it's in Italian. For Bastone, it's only gonna be worse. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I mean, imagine me putting a QR code on your table, eliminating the server position, only having an essay, and you walk in, you're like, what the fuck is Culatella? You know what I mean? It's just gonna be you doing a lot of Googling when my service staff can do that for you, right? But also, like, you know what I mean, at Bastone, like, we only have wine from basically Liguria to Emilia Romagna, all the way down to Puglia, no Calabria, no Sicily.
Yeah.
So, you know, imagine going to a table and trying, or a table ordering a wine, because there's gonna be 150 wines on that list. Imagine them not knowing, they're not gonna know what any of those grape bottles are, because none of them literally exist in the United States. So, think about if we ever have to go that route, how that's gonna be. Like, it's gonna be a mind fuck for a lot of people because they won't be able to deal with the fact that they won't, or they'll love it and they'll just Google it.
Yeah.
You know, which is also scary because, like, if we go down that route, because I mean, listen, at the end of the day, these fucking things are gonna rule the world, right?
Yeah, you're always going to have
Someone's
people
rule the world.
Googling stuff on your menu and everything.
Of course,
like that.
and sometimes, like, I'll go to restaurants and I'll do it because, like, you know, if there's something on the menu that I don't know, you know, the server's an hour away, because it's 99% of the time what's happening, especially now with everything that's going on and the shortage. You know, I rely on the Google, but then I'll ask them anyway. Go, see, this guy knows what the fuck he's talking about. Which, you know, hopefully we're training our staff correctly, and they do. But it is definitely something that goes through my mind every day, and I'm like, fuck, man. Like, when, you know, like, perfect example. Like, I thought we were gonna go down that route if there was another shutdown.
Yeah.
Like, that to me would have scared the ever living shit out of me, and it was gonna be one of those things where I was gonna be like, we really got to reconsider what we're doing because this next shutdown will even bring less people back next time to
100%.
work. You know, so that was very worrisome about it. And then on top of it, you add in these, you know, these fucking shithead DoorDash and Uber Eats and all that stuff where they're taking 30%, you know, and it's like, you know, by the time you're done, there's nothing left for the restaurateur and for all that stuff. And I mean, like, you and I, we talk about it all the time. We go over P&Ls and all that stuff, and it's like, dude, like, we're giving almost 20 grand to DoorDash and Uber Eats alone every month.
You know what, people order DoorDash and Uber Eats and they're like, wow, I feel good, I'm supporting this restaurant. I
Yeah.
might not be going out, but I'm supporting by buying their food, but they don't know that.
No, what it's
all
coming
that
out
money
of.
goes
No.
away. Yeah.
No, and literally, I mean, all the profits are gone. I mean, by the time they take everything, if you take everything that we have to put into it, I mean, especially now, forget it. I mean, now you have supply issues, right? Like, our flour is doubled in price, our oil is tripled in price, our, you know, heavy cream is out of control, like, butter's out of control. I mean, you know,
Our water glasses that I ordered
Yeah.
last December still aren't here.
yeah, I mean, these are serious issues that, you know, I don't know if we spoke about it at all on the podcast with anybody else, but I think our biggest thing is supply is going to continue to be an issue, right? So what I think we're going to need to do, and we've already have to do it, is there needs to be a menu price increase, right? And I feel like every single guest that comes in is going to have to, live with the fact that we have to increase prices, right? Because we just can't continue to run on pricing before COVID, because those prices don't exist anymore. When one ball of fresh mozzarella goes from $2.50 to $7.50, and I give you 3/4 of it on a fucking margarita pizza, your margarita pizza is gonna end up being $25. There is no other way around it.
And you get crushed on value, and that's what's annoying is.
Yeah, because I don't think the rest of the world understands where we are yet. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the part where it's gonna take a little bit of time. People will understand, and they always will. And at the end of the day, you give them a product that they love, they're gonna continue to come back, and it really doesn't matter. Why is Sam looking here? She's curious. All right, so graduate college. You're in this industry.
Yep.
Now what?
So I was with Barcelona. I think I was managing with them for just over a year. And I have nothing negative to say. It was great. I learned a lot about culture. I learned a lot about what to look for, how to take care of guests. I wanted to explore some other avenues, some other restaurants. I think it's dangerous to just off that first shot just be like, okay, full in. And I know you were down here. I didn't work with you in a very heavy capacity up in Connecticut.
Yeah.
But I remember how I felt working in one of your restaurants. And I went into White Bull a couple times, and I was just like, maybe it is time for a change. So kind of stepping back into a server role after having eyes of a manager, it really made it secure.
What made you want to take the step back though? Was it just your first management job and I mean, I'll tell you the truth, man. I became an executive chef when I was 23 years old.
Yeah.
Personally, this is me looking back now, 13 years later, I had no business being an executive chef, right? I didn't know how to manage people. I didn't know what the fucking P&L was. I had no idea how to develop a menu. I just knew how to cook, and I was really fucking good at it, and I was very creative, right? Looking back now, that restaurant that I ran that eventually failed, I left before it failed, but it eventually failed, and I consider that as my failure, not anybody else's. If I had that restaurant now, I'd fucking destroy it. Because I'm a lot smarter, I wish I knew then what I know now type thing, Is that how you felt and that's why you wanted to step back, or is it because you just realized maybe management's not for you? What ended up happening?
Well, I think it's the same thing, like when you go from a server to a manager, like how you were saying you get a little bit less pay. You gotta kind of, before you start going up the next ladder, you gotta go down a couple rungs to make that that horizontal transition over. You're a talented dude. There's no doubt that you're gonna continue to open restaurants and continue to grow, and being a part of growth and keeping that idea of that I like education and that there's people to teach, new concept. It's totally different food. It was just a different opportunity, and I just wanted to see how things would play out.
So for you, that was a gamble, right? Because Barcelona had growth.
Yeah.
It was coming, right? We didn't announce anything yet. I mean, you just came to work for me at White Bull, and we announced nothing. I mean, it wasn't probably until, almost an entire year later where we announced Grana, and it still took fucking, 6 months to open it, and we opened right in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah.
But that's a big gamble for you to take, without, you obviously don't have to toot my fucking horn, but, what made you go from, a restaurant group that was definitely gonna fucking, take you to a level that you've never even experienced before, to, being like, yo, you know what, I'm gonna go work for this dude, and he has nothing else going on right now, but, was it the food that White Bull was serving? Was it the culture that we were creating? What exactly was it that made you want to come work there?
I think it's definitely the culture. Food obviously is delicious, but there's something about the culture there when you walk in the building as a guest or when you walk in as staff, you feel welcome. I think that's a very special quality that White Bull still has and still continues to build on, and it's something that I hope continues to grow at Grana as well. That's a rare thing to find. I don't walk into any other restaurant in the city and be like, oh, they really want me to be here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there, it's like, of course. Like with Barcelona, a restaurant like that, where they have like 15 or 16 Barcelonas, people are going to go no matter what. So it's just like, you know, there's not really any guessing game. It kind of just happens.
Yeah.
Where somewhere like Whitewell, somewhere like Grana, and eventually Bastone, and everything that's to come, you get to have fun pulling people into that, and it's something so different. So you know, watching those reactions, watching people respond positively, you know, even the negative things to learn from, that's exciting.
Yeah. So the one thing I've learned about you over the last few years is I have to keep you moving, right? So like if I keep you stagnant at one place for a very long time, you start getting fucking antsy, and so that's why, like, you know, I said to you, like, you know, you can stay here, obviously, or you can come and open Bastone. Plus, not to mention, like, you know, I mean, listen, bro, I enjoy your fucking company, so like I want to be around, and I want you around when we're opening things, right? Because that's fun, because I know that I can be like, Ryan, I really need you to handle this right now, and you're gonna take care of it. You know, like if I'm in the middle of fucking menu training and everything like that, and you know the fucking gas company calls, I know that you're gonna be able to handle that, and I don't have to worry about it. So you come to work at Whitewell, right? And then you basically ended up having to manage a little bit anyway, right? So you didn't really expect that to happen, but you had to manage a little bit anyway. Well, walk me from Whitewell to you getting the nod of being a manager at Grana. And your excitement about it, because I remember how excited you were about it.
Well, Whitewell was really humbling to go back as a server. You had all stars there, like Stefano alone. What was her name? Alex. I feel so bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Allie.
Allie, yeah. You know, you had servers like that were just like not a single flaw.
Dude, you know what I loved about those two? They would walk up to me every shift and they go, "I'm gonna bring in $2,000 today,"
Yeah.
and they would bring in fucking.
And they'd fucking do it.
Yeah.
With like 10 governors, they could do it.
Yeah,
You know what I
it
mean?
was crazy, man.
It was insane. And that made me kind of put my head down and get serious. And then I like, you know, I think that was the big hook, was working around people like that. Like, these are career restaurant people.
Yep.
And I hadn't had that experience before that. You know, like,
Did you not have any of those at Barcelona?
yes and no.
Couple here.
I mean, you had, like, I feel like they had a core staff for 4 years, and then it flipped over,
Yeah.
which is normal for restaurants.
Yeah, of course.
You know, they did a really good job about hiring from within, and you know,
They did, man.
people
I
from the
appreciate that
company.
about them.
And again, that's something that's super rare too. So I always will give a nod to them for that. But then, you know, as we were coming closer to the Grana announcement, what made me so excited is I took those humbling experiences, and you know, I did a lot of work to make sure that I knew the menu just as well as those guys and could do the same tasks. And then once I felt super comfortable with it, and knowing that I had some prior managing experience, I was really ready to put those two together.
So it's funny because I poke fun at you about it, the way you talk to people at tables, but like listening to you at tables is fucking amazing.
I mean, like,
It really is, man. Well, I mean, you know, you are one of those dudes that, like, you know, if you have to bullshit your way through it, you'll figure out a way, but you'd rather not.
Yeah.
So you're trying to be as genuine as possible every single time, and I feel like the guests, when they see that and when they hear it from you, they automatically know it. You know what I mean? As opposed to, you know, some other staff where they go to the table and they just try to fucking spew, you know, whatever the hell they can know. Sometimes you always know when people are full of shit because they just keep talking when they don't have to fucking talk.
Yeah.
Just leave it alone. So, you know, so you come to Grana, you're one of the managers, you're not the GM. You know, how was that experience? How was it working for somebody else when basically you kind of already knew that, you know, you were ready for it? So how was that? And yeah, I mean, like, I don't give a shit who's listening, so like, be honest, like, how was that? Was it humbling? Was it one of those things where you were like, all right, I'm gonna pull what I know from each one of these guys and basically then create my own? Because one thing that you have taught me, you know, for being, you know, almost fucking 10 years younger than me, is culture is super important, man, right? Because like when you met me, man, it was like, it's fucking, I don't give a shit, this is what it is, I don't fucking care, you don't like to get the fuck out of the way, train's coming through and that's it. And I think you know, from that short time that you were at Whitewell, definitely helped me see that, because you were always like, well, what do they think? Or what about them? Or how about creating this culture? And then it's only been more and more important. I don't think culture has been on my radar, was ever on my radar before, and now it's on my radar more than it is, you know, having really good service, having really good wine, having really good food. It's more of creating that core culture in the restaurant, sticking to it, never deriving from it, and then continuing to move forward. So was that Barcelona that helped you with that, or was it basically your own, like, every single day shit that you would have to deal with? And then on top of it, how was it working for somebody else knowing that you were ready to be a GM?
I think it had a lot to just do with you know, and again, it sounds corny, but the way I was raised, for sure, and Barcelona too, like, you know, you learn how to take care of people and, you know, do things the right way. Culture became super important and prevalent to me there because I saw what it could do. You could take somebody that has no business being in a restaurant, show them some love, really take care of them, and spend some one-on-one time, and turn them into an all-star. I saw that happen a lot over there. Working for somebody else here, I'll be honest, there was a lot of frustrating times because what made me so upset is you have a good relationship with all your managers. Everybody's trying so hard to impress you instead of just getting the job done. And it's just like they get distracted from everything that they have to do, so a lot falls by the wayside. Like, I think the best managers that'll walk in are people that don't care about impressing you, they just care about like achieving things for themselves and making sure that their staff, not just, I hate to say that their staff likes them because I don't mean it in a friend way, you can't ever be friends with your staff, but just to have that mutual respect, you know what I mean?
I think that's the most important thing. The mutual respect is the most important thing. For sure.
Yeah, like if your staff is sick, like what's stopping you from shooting a text, hey, hope you feel better.
Yeah.
You don't have to text your staff and be like, when are you coming back to work?
Yeah.
Like they're gonna come back when they're feeling better.
Yeah.
You know, like how are you feeling? Just checking in, like things like that. I think are super important, and that's something I don't think we had right away at first.
For
I
sure.
think it was very much just like, well, this is the way it is, and I don't really give a shit what you think.
Yep.
And to an extent, that's how you have to be. You can't let your staff run the restaurant. That's why you're here to run the restaurant.
Yep.
But you can at least open the floor for some discussion to make people feel like they're building with you. And I think that's how, you know, restaurants that have blown up into these big groups, I think that's the culture they really took because now they have someone that came in as a server, came in even as like an SA or a dishwasher, and all of a sudden, you know, they're running the kitchen.
We
They're
are
running
right.
in front of the house. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why I think culture is important. That's how you develop your next managers. You
Yep.
know, the next people that are going to be opening
Sous chefs.
restaurants. Exactly. Your sous
Executive
chefs. Exactly.
So that's you know, you and I have had these discussions before, and you know, I mean, obviously, back of the house sometimes tends to be, you know, culture ends up being a little bit more difficult because you're dealing with a different set of people. But like that's one of those things I've kind of been instilling a lot in Chef Pat and in Chef Elliott. You know, like I feel like I continually say to a lot of people, it's like, you know, imagine somebody pointing their fucking finger at you every single day, right? Point your finger at me every single day. You don't even ask me how my mom's doing. Like that shit's annoying, you know what I mean? And that shit's gonna get old really fast, and I'm gonna fucking leave, you know? And I feel like, you know, we definitely had a revolving door for a very long time with both restaurants, and a lot of it has to do with a couple things. I think, you know, where we are. A lot of it also has to do with what we're going through as a country. But then I think also a lot of it had to do with the mere fact that culture just wasn't great. I mean, you know what I mean? And for me, what I think helped the culture side of it actually was COVID, right? Because like you quickly realize that, I mean, I think we've all known restaurant people are underpaid, you know, to have to go through everything they go through every single day, you know, I mean, like, how many fucking birthdays I've missed, man, you know, how many weddings I've missed, you know, all that shit I've missed, but now, you know, a lot of these people are taking the time off, and we're allowing them to because we're overstaffing, right, because for multiple reasons, but we're also paying a lot more than we were before, right?
Absolutely.
Because we have to, you know what I mean, like, you know, when you're paying somebody, you know, $15 an hour, and they're walking with 600 and their rent's 1,300 a month. Like, how do you expect those people to come to work for you every single day and be happy?
Yeah.
You know, so that's why we've tried our best to continue to pay, you know, either at the top or very close to the top that everybody else is paying for. You know, there's some places that are obviously paying 23 to 25 an hour, but they're also charging $70 for their boss, and we're not there yet. But I do think that the industry is changing, and you know, sometimes for the good, sometimes for the bad. And I guess we'll figure out where that's going to go as the time goes on. So now October comes, and you take over Rana. So how was that?
For the first 2 months, I was shitting.
Sometimes I still think you are.
No, it was a lot all at once. You know, you always think right before you make that move, you're like, oh, I know everything, I got it, I'm good.
And the other thing though is when you took over, my foot was on your throat.
Yeah.
For a while, right? Because, well, I mean, I needed to get you to a point, and I needed to get you there fast because the restaurant really started picking up steam, right? Because, you know, we opened 2 days after they shut the whole fucking country down. We went through 6 months of bullshit, and then we really started hitting our stride in August, September, October.
Yeah, that was a busy holiday
and it was busy, right? And you come in, you take over, you know, it's your first general manager position, you know, and you're not only getting crippled every single day from things, but I have my foot in your throat because I need you to get it. I need you to get it faster because at that point, we've kind of already knew that there were more restaurants coming. And I needed to get you somewhere because, you know, in my mind, I always envisioned you as being this certain role. So how was that? How's this year been for you? Be honest.
It's been good.
Okay.
2021 better than 2020.
Yeah.
But something that you were really good at, you know, despite being hard and like putting pressure on, is you're very good at, you know, giving the good slap, but then the other hand has an ice pack in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You have to.
And I think that's what keeps you motivated. And you know, it's not about impressing like I was talking before, but I definitely don't want to have you, you know, disappointed. Like this is a big deal for you.
Yeah.
So I made it a big deal for me too, because, you know, that's something that I can be passionate about, is like being a part of that building block. You know, even if it's not like my restaurant, I'm a part of it. And I treat it like it's mine too, because that's what it's going to take to make this successful and to be able to continue opening restaurants. But that year, the hardest thing was staffing. Outside of that, you know, it's the normal curveballs, like, you know, you have like your days where you're super short and you're slammed and you got to put on an apron and serve. But outside of staffing, I think some of the harder things were the education process and teaching everybody this menu, teaching everybody about Italian wine. Like, everyone thinks Italian is spaghetti and meatballs and fettuccine alfredo, to be honest, because that's all we could ask for.
Yeah, exactly.
So trying to build a culture and educating, and for people that have never had either of those before, and then telling them that now their role is to push culture and education at the table.
Yeah.
Because the people who are coming in definitely don't know anything about what we have on our menu.
Yeah.
So that was definitely the biggest challenge, and just kind of getting comfortable with all of the admin.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It is a lot. The beverage side, you know, that wasn't too bad. It was more about like kind of figuring out a way to look 6 months ahead and how to get ahead. You know, and like stopping yourself from getting anxious about all the things you have to do and really making that list to be able to prioritize and bang things out. That was a little bit of an adjustment for me, but it forced me to get organized very fast, to carry around a little notebook for myself. And I think this year, I've learned that I need to check my email about every 20 minutes.
Every 4 minutes. Yeah, you'll get better at it.
I'll keep going.
You'll get better at it.
I got time.
So how did you feel when I sat you down? I was like, all right, dude, we're opening a new restaurant, and I want to tap you as the GM. How'd you feel? And how do you feel now? Like, you know, I mean, we're a couple months away from opening. You know, excitement, obviously, probably running through your veins, but you know, this is the first time. I mean, you opened the restaurant as an AGM. This is the first time opening as a GM. You feel like every single day you're forgetting. I mean, listen, dude, this is one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is number 6 for me, and I still forget. I feel like I fucking forget shit. So, how do you feel?
Like you said, obviously excited, a little nervous. I mean, there's definitely things that are gonna pop up that I'm gonna be like, oh shit, I didn't even think about that. And it happens now. Like at night, I'll sit up, stare at the ceiling, and think about everything that I have to do. And every time I do that, I think of like 3 or 4 more things.
Yeah.
I'm like, shit, I didn't even
Write
get
that
started
shit
on
down,
that.
dude.
Yeah. But no, I think it'll be exciting, because like the experiences that I've had in both your restaurants, like I can take an average of that and really make something special happen at Bastone. So I'm trying to, you know, I'm keeping that excitement level, but I'm trying to tell myself, you know, it's game time. Like, this is a big impression to make in a new part of town, and it's a little bit more complex than what we're doing here. So that's kind of what I'm mentally preparing myself for, is to really get people excited about it and right off the rip, kind of just absolutely crush it.
Yeah, awesome. So I mean, I've been saying it lately a lot. Like, you know, we're opening this restaurant in West Midtown, and we're playing with the big boys now and all this shit. But like, you know, I mean, what we've accomplished in these 2 restaurants in the last 18 months, we are the fucking big boys, bro. Like, that's all it comes down to, right? I mean, you like to like humble yourself and, you know, and tell it, but like, we fucking deserve to be in West Midtown, and when we open that restaurant, it's gonna be a lot of fucking fun. But it's also gonna be one of those things that it's like, I mean, we're here to fucking stay. And we're, like slamming the fucking card down on the table, the whole thing. It's like, we're definitely fucking here. That to me is exciting, and I know when I say that kind of shit, you get excited about it too. And that's why, like, I want you there by my fucking side to open this restaurant. So, obviously, without giving away, because you're in the mix of the whole thing. You're in the circle of trust, so you know the shit that's happening, right?
Yeah.
You know the shit that's happening in this restaurant group. Without giving anything away, what's next for you? Like, what do you want to do? Like, obviously, I have the mentality of I kind of have a vision for where everybody needs to be, and I've asked you these questions, so I probably know the answer. But like, where do you want to be? Where does Ryan want to be? Next, what's after Bastone for him? Where are you 5 years from now? Like, where do you want to be? What's next for you?
It's all contingent on where we go in the next couple of years. But I just want to continue working in an area that I'm already passionate about, which is that establishing culture, making the servers, whether they've been in the industry for 10 years or been in the industry for 2 months, making them the absolute best. Part of that is that, again, going back to that love for education and kind of helping people figure out the puzzle pieces that restaurants kind of throw at you.
Yeah.
So I don't know, just kind of really pushing that envelope and not just building for individual restaurants, but for the group altogether. Because there is going to be like this restaurant group mentality that we're all going to have to get behind. And I really want to be a part of that building process and really make people excited about restaurants. Because I feel like one of the things that like kind of sucks, and it's always going to be that way, is a lot of people look at restaurants as like a stepping stone into something else. But I want to have people actually excited about a restaurant career based off of what we're doing and kind of leading by example for everybody else.
I agree. Building something from scratch is probably one of my favorite things in the world to do.
Yeah.
And that's why I love going down the road with you, because you have the same mentality. So a couple things I'm gonna break your balls about because I have to. And then we're gonna go into the Spitfire thing, right? So one thing you're gonna realize about Ryan, right, is that I always give Ryan ideas on how to make more money, right? So 2 years ago, I call Ryan and I'm like, Ryan, listen, man, there's a lot going on right now in the baseball card, basketball card industry. Figure out a way to put it together $1,000 and I'm gonna make you a lot of money, right? So Ryan and I are walking from White Bull to the mailbox, and I sold my first card on eBay for like $20. And this guy looks at me and goes, damn, man, you always figure out a way to make fucking money, right? So since then, I bought $20 cards and sold them for $2,000 on eBay. And, I give you all these stories all the time of everything that's happening. So that was your one mistake. Then I told you about crypto, and you didn't fucking listen to that either. The next thing I hit you with, you gotta be fucking on board and you gotta be ready to go. So just have $1,000 just sitting somewhere. When it's time to go, just gonna be like, cut the check. That's it.
Put it in my pad account.
That's it. Just do it. Yeah, there you go. Pad account. All right. So, couple of things. I'm gonna ask one because I don't know if I ever really asked you this. I kind of think I know the answer to it because you're a pumpkin spice guy. What's your favorite season?
Favorite season's spring, man.
Really?
I love spring.
See, I didn't know that. I thought you were definitely gonna be a fall guy because I'm a fall guy, and I figured because of the pumpkin spice latte and and all that stuff that you were definitely gonna be a fall guy. But I didn't realize you were a spring guy.
No, see,
what is it? You get excited because fucking winter's over?
I despise the winter.
Yeah, I mean they need to skip over winter moving forward.
Yeah.
Well, when I moved to Atlanta, I was like, oh man, it's gonna be so great. It's gonna be hot all the time. Hot Atlanta. And then I remember getting here, and I was here for like a day, dude, and it fucking snowed. I lost my shit. I'm going back. I'm out of here. This fucking sucks.
I mean,
but this past year we literally had like 4 weeks of winter.
Yeah.
It was great.
Maybe if I finally gain back like 20, 30 pounds, I'll start liking winter again.
You'll be fine.
I'll have a little bit more meat on the bones. But no, springtime for sure.
All right. So let's go Spitfire real quick, and then I ask you one or the other, and you hit me with it, right?
Okay.
Sweet or savory?
Savory.
You got a sweet tooth though.
I
You
know.
get a chocolate bar every day.
But it's one of those things.
Every day, dude, you're having a fucking Snickers with almonds.
But you know why? It's because I'll have something savory immediately after. I
need
gotta
sweet,
have something
yeah,
sweet.
yeah.
I gotta balance it out.
All right. So tell the fucking truth and don't lie because I know where we're from. Pepsi or Coke?
Pepsi.
Yeah, I knew that was happening. Alright, these are the questions that you and I basically go through every single day, so. Pasta or pizza?
Pasta.
Hero or wedge?
Wedge. What the hell's a hero?
Exactly, man. We moved down here, everybody's like, hero, hero.
I
know
don't
what
need
the
a
fuck
cape
that
on
is.
my sandwich.
Hostess or Little Debbie?
Which one's got ho-hos?
I don't fucking know.
I think it's Hostess.
Is it? Alright, Hostess. it
But
is.
I do love cosmic brownies, but that's the only little
Yeah, I know, dude. I tell people that shit all the time, like, Ryan loves cosmic brownies. Alright, last one. This one's gonna be more of a deeper question, right?
Oh, okay.
Today or tomorrow?
I'm prepared for today, tomorrow.
That's good. Dude, thank you so much, man. I love
Thank
you, brother.
you.
You know that.
Love
And
you too.
and let's get after it.
Heard that.
Thanks, bro.